Flag's backyard. This is the show that put the 110 Nation on the map. There is only one nation, the 110 Nation. And you're listening to the 110 Nation Sports Show. Covering each and every sport across the board. There is no sport too large or too little. It's time to talk the talk. Here we go. Here's the man, the founder, and your host, Mr. CJ Sports.
I want to welcome everybody to the 110 Nation Sports Show. I am your host, Mr. CJ Sports. You can follow me at CJ Sports 1. You can follow the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. Glad to be here on this Thursday night. Don't forget, on Facebook, you can also check me out. My personal fan page, Mr. CJ Sports. The 110 Nation fan page, 110 Nation Sports. Also, our blog site, www.the110nationsports.com. Or you can check out our company site, www.the110nation.com. Glad to be here this Thursday. We're doing something a little bit different on this Thursday night. A little bit out of the ordinary. What we done, because we got this great deal with the I-95 Sports Radio Network. We had extended our show, the 110 Nation Sports Show, Monday through Friday. It used to be just Monday through Wednesday. And Steve Billmyer and the Racing with Big Sweat show came back on the network starting this week. So what we decided to do, so that we could get both shows on, I could be at two places at once, I'm going to get things kicked off here on the 110 Nation Sports, the sports show side of the house. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to hit on some of the big topics of the day. And I got a couple topics I want to talk about. And then here shortly, we're going to tune in. We're going to merge into the Racing with Big Sweat show. And Big Sweat and myself we got three great guests lined up for you guys tonight. A driver from New Zealand, a K&N Pro Series driver, and then Jamie McMurray's former spotter, Lauren Rainier. And we got him coming on the show, talk about the history and some of the historic names that his family's team used to have drive for them back in the day when they had Rainier Racing way back in the day. And then now where he's at now with Rainier Racing in the K&N Pro, the ARCA Series and the Truck Series. So great show we got lined up for you. But I want to jump into these topics real quick before we run out of time, because we got a little bit of a time restraint on what I can get thrown out there real quick before we get into this, so we can fit everybody's time slot. So I got to make this make the most of this time. Got to make sure I thank Snafu Seasoning. They're the whole reason we are able to make the Thursday night show even possible. So I got to thank those guys. Couple big things, and one of them, well, I guess neither one of them is really a surprise to me, I guess. I'll say one of them is a surprise, one of them not, but really, I guess both of them, neither one of them is really a surprise. Colin Kaepernick wants to be traded. Really not a surprise. It looks like that they've really kind of moved on. After a couple days of the NFL scouting combine, positive words from the San Francisco 49ers regarding quarterback Colin Kaepernick. Kaepernick did a WWE heel turn. Get out of the steel chair, because Kaepernick has apparently requested the 49ers trade him. It makes some sense that Kaepernick doesn't want the warm and fuzzies from the 49ers right now. He was benched last season. He had his day in the sun. I'm sorry, I'm not a Kaepernick fan. I don't think necessarily that Alex Smith could have won you Super Bowl, but I think you had a better chance. And you know, I knew that was going to cost. And honestly, I think the way that Alex Smith is a game manager and what he has done over the Kansas City Chiefs has proven that. I think with that 49er team, they would have probably won the Super Bowl with Alex Smith as a quarterback. Kaepernick, I knew he wasn't ready for the big stage. I knew that he was not that quarterback to win the Super Bowl. A couple burn-up timeouts and costly interception, cost them a Super Bowl victory against the Baltimore Ravens. Wasn't surprised by it. And then every year it just seemed that he's gotten worse and worse. It's like, you know what, like I called it in the first season, matter of fact, when he took over, that the defenses just didn't know how to guard someone like him. It was just all something new. Once that they would catch on that he would be less and less efficient, you know what? I hate to say I told you so, but let me pop that collar real quick. This is exactly what happened. Defenses got to study him, got to adapt and adjust to it, and here we are. RG3, same way. You got to have an arm. And I'm sorry, but Kaepernick and RG3 arms are not consistent enough. They're not accurate enough. Fortunately for Cam Newton, not the greatest of accuracy, but better than the other two, and has something to fall back on. You can't outrun everybody. It's just not going to happen. First of all, injuries tally up, but if you're predicted to be run because you're not a passer, ask Michael Vick. It just never works out for the best. But Kaepernick is requested to be traded. We'll see who's willing to fork out a little money and who is willing to take on the task known as Colin Kaepernick, who the only person that loves him more than himself is himself, with the flexing and the kissing of the small biceps. But I've never seen a guy so small and not have much of a bicep be so impressed with it. I just ain't never seen it. Steph Curry scores 51, hits 10 threes, 10 for 15 tonight. Again, because crazy is the new normal. Setting the new record of 128 straight games with a 3-point made. The NBA's reigning most valuable player did it again Thursday, scoring 51 points in 34 minutes to go with his 8 assists, 7 rebounds. And what's remarkable about this is I believe it was just one, but he took one free throw and he scored 51 points, and that's never been done before. Usually somebody racks up points, throw out a name that likes to make it to the free throw line all the time because they flop. Yes, James Harden. Usually if they rack up points like that, it's because they go to the free throw line a lot. Not go 10 for 15 from downtown, made 20 field goals and only shot one free throw. But congratulations to Steph Curry, as not only did he go for 10 for 15 from downtown, but extending that streak to 128 games, being the all-time leader with consistent games of consecutive games of having a three-pointer made. And I tell you what, like I said last night, I would not be surprised if we get to see 200. I would not be surprised if we go like something like 2 complete seasons without him missing and not making a three-pointer in the game. I would honestly be shocked. But congratulations to Steph Curry. And scouting combine coming up. Got a lot of stuff going on. Make sure you guys check out the blog site. I had seven press releases and 7 things come out. Working on some articles. Got a lot of great things coming on out there. But I got to start transitioning into this very exciting segment we got coming up with Racing with Big Sweat. So I don't want to delay. We got about 90 seconds. Don't forget, check out the 110 Nation Sports Show Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Make sure you guys check it out. Very important. A lot of great things. You guys missed Austin Greer, 13-year-old race car driver last night, youngest over at Rev Racing. Shout outs to Rev Racing and all they do for the 110 Nation. I love having this connection and having this relationship with Rev Racing over there. We got Racing with Big Sweat Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Make sure you guys check that out as well. We got Happy Hour Grind Sunday night, 7 p.m. And we got the Dirt Talk Hour Sunday nights, 9 p.m. And then don't forget Mondays, right back here on the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network once again with Rubbin' Is Racing, 7 p.m. Monday night. Don't forget, next week we will be back on the air in the morning, the 110 Nation Morning Show. I am moving, and the 110 Nation studio is moving. We couldn't do any morning shows this week because I got things to tackle. But we will be back on the air. Not sure which day for the morning show, which day next week. It's still uncertain if I'm moving Sunday, Monday, or even not until next Friday. We're not 100% sure on which day that I will be moving out of my current location into the new location. But we'll keep you guys updated on that as well. Did it and still got 14 seconds left, so guess I made it on time. But without any further delay, let's kick over here real quick and let's jump into having Big Sweats on here and doing this.
This tax refund season, Metro PCS has an offer so good you'll want to shout it from the mountaintops.
Switch to Metro PCS, and get two 4G LTE phones for free.
Switch to Metro PCS and get two free 4G LTE smartphones from brands like Samsung and LG. Only at Metro PCS. Limited time offer. Sales tax not included in phone price. After instant rebate. Coverage and services not available everywhere. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Blog Talk Radio.
Howdy, race fans. How the hell are you? Glad you're tuning in to the first episode of 2016, the new version of Racing with Big Sweat. I'm your host, Steve Big Sweat Billmyer, and I'll be here weekly on Thursday nights bringing you short track racers and people from all over the country that run these cars on Saturday night. We want to hear about them. We want to talk about them. If you know somebody that runs on the local short tracks and he's a hot shoe, you think he ought to be on the show, give a little airtime to his sponsors and such, message me. Send me a PM or message me at 110 Nation Sports or NASCAR and Other Racing, my Facebook group. Be glad to have them on. Now, while I'm here, let me introduce my partner in crime to you, my producer, the man that knows a hell of a lot more about stick and ball sports than I do. So if I need to know something, I go see him, Mr. CJ Sports. CJ, how you doing, bud?
Not too bad. Just glad to be back here on a Thursday night. It's been a while since we've hung out together. Looking forward to hearing what all your great guests got to say tonight, and just glad to see you're back, you're healthy, and ready for 2016.
Yeah, I was under the weather a little bit here around the first of the year, so I didn't get the show started when I wanted to, but we're up and running now, and trust me, we got a great show ready to go tonight. Let me see if I can find out if my boys are calling in yet or not. What'd you think of that Daytona race, CJ?
I liked it. I know that from what I've seen, that the TV ratings were down, and there was a lot of people that, I don't know, they didn't seem as impressed. The whole weekend to me was phenomenal. And, you know, to have three races and one ends with trucks flipping across the checker, and then the other two, the Xfinity Series race and the Sprint Cup Series race, they finished with first and second beating each other's doors in to come to the checkers, and to have the closest finish in Daytona 500 history. I'm sorry, but I guess I appreciated it and enjoyed it a lot more than a lot of NASCAR fans out there.
I know. There's a lot of people that were complaining that it was boring in the middle of the race and everything, and I'm like, it's Daytona, you know. Unless there's a big one happening somewhere, there's not a whole lot for the average race fan to watch or enough action to maintain their interest. But if you dig into it a little deeper, and I definitely recommend paying attention to what Jeff Gordon and DW have to say about racing and racing procedures and how they do things and how they come up with the ideas to do things. Jeff Gordon has really surprised me. He's turned out to be, he sounded real good all last week. I think he's going to do great in the box. So I hate to see Larry Mack go, but maybe this will maybe this will move somebody else out. Who knows? I don't want to call any names, but I'd rather have Jeff Gordon and Larry Mack on there. I think that would be the combination to go with.
I'm just hoping that Jeff Gordon, to me, it's not sounding natural still, and that's my issue. Not that, to me, Jeff Gordon's never really sounded like a natural speaking person. It's almost like he really thinks too hard when he talks and gives interviews, or it's almost like he's reading it instead of it being a natural flow. And I'm hoping as this race continues, it becomes a little bit more natural for him. I'm not a big DW fan or Mikey fan, but at times Mikey can be funny. Larry Mack, I like him, and I love listening to him, and I got no problem with Mike Joy. I don't know. The coverage, we get so many different coverages and different combos, and it's just hard. I like this year, though, with NASCAR doing a better job with the Xfinity Series and rotating the Sprint Cup guys on Saturday, so we get a lot more, the Sprint Cup guys hanging out for the Saturday race. I really like that with Fox.
Yeah, I've liked that, too. I think that's a step in the right direction, so I'm looking forward to seeing how the season goes and seeing especially how Gordon does. Well, I see our first guest is in the studio. That's a bit of a long ride, so let's get this cattle drive going. Oh, wait a minute. One more thing. Now we're ready. All right. Pay attention, people. You're going to have to, between my redneck Southern accent and our next driver's New Zealand accent, I think a lot of the conversation is going to be one-worded, like, huh? What'd you say? I think it's going to be good. And this dude seems to be real interesting, and we'll get him on, and I'm going to explain to you what got me interested in him and what got us chatting and what led up to him being on the show. So say hello all the way from New Zealand to a driver named Ox Primado. I hope I pronounced that right, Ox. Did I?
Yeah, it's Prado. Steve, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Yeah, very good. Good day in New Zealand today. It's about 30 degrees C and bright blue skies, and racing tomorrow night. Not for me, but for everybody else.
Well, when are you going to start racing?
I've raced for a number of years, and then my wife and I decided to take the plunge and build a big house and everything like that, and so I've taken a couple of years out of racing, and I'll be looking forward to getting back into it at some stage soon, and it'll be really good.
Cool deal. What got you interested in racing? What got you involved in racing, and how old were you when you started?
I was, what interested me in racing to start off with is I always liked the General Lee, and always watched the Dukes of Hazzard on TV, and so I thought one day in New Zealand and Australia we have a vehicle called a Valiant Charger, and looks very similar to the 69 Charger of the General, and so I had the opportunity to buy a Charger one day, and we turned it into a street stock, and so basically a street stock is a road-going car that gets stripped out, and a roll cage and plate put in the door skins so that we don't get hurt and stuff, and front and back bumpers, and it's a class of friendly contact, if you like to put it like that. We're not allowed to do full contact like super stock racing or stock car racing. That's a totally different ball game, but also a lot of fun, especially to watch as well.
I watched a super stock race one time on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I was just blown away. I'm like, now this is racing here.
Yeah, it's full on stuff. They'll pick you up and they'll put put you up on top of the concrete wall and probably through the wire rope fence that goes with it. Yeah, a lot of people land on their roofs, and there's been some really big crashes. But of course, they get back on their wheels and they start it back up, and off they go again.
I know.
So yeah, full contact.
I posted a picture of one of the super
I saw
stock
that.
cars, and it's, you look at it, and you can't believe all the crash bars and roll bars and crossbars and everything on the car. So I figured it was pretty much full contact. Is it individual drivers, or is it more like team racing?
We have both classes. As the season starts and progresses, everybody's in it for themselves, and then of course each and individual class of speedway that we have in New Zealand goes off to their respective national events, and then we have the biggie after that, and that's the Super Stock Teams Champs from Palmerston North, and that's action packed from 0 kilometres an hour or 0 miles an hour, and anything up to say 80 mile an hour, full contact crash inside a concrete wall, 400 odd metre track, and normally clay lime mix, and that's when we play teams racing, and we look out for each other, and it's fantastic to watch. The guys really put their cars and their bodies on the line, and of course there are the people that get hurt as well. But yeah, fantastic to watch.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to go back to YouTube and see what else I can find, and hopefully that championship race at the end of the year sounds like a pretty big deal. I'd like to see that. Yeah,
it is. Yep, it is. People over here take it very seriously, and a lot of speedway in New Zealand is done on a very limited budget. Street stocks at one stage there was one of the cheapest parts of motorsport that you could probably go and have a go in. You could be out on the track for less than $5,000, but now you're probably spending $10,000 rebuilding your engine. And then the big guys that run the methanol, the super saloons and things like that, they're sort of breaking up to in between 600 and 800 horsepower.
Wow.
Their engines could be up to say $80,000. But yeah, a lot of fun.
A lot of fun. Just depending on your pocket personality, your money depends on what level of fun you have, but. It's really interesting. I just kind of caught it last year out of the blue, and then I started paying attention to the amount of racing that goes on in Australia and New Zealand. There's something happening. If you want to see a race, you can find a race down there pretty easy. I mean, they're all over, and they're a big deal.
They are.
That's what got me in.
Fantastic motorsport in Australia as well with the V8 supercars. Bathurst is the big race of the year. That's the 1,000k race. Big dollars once again. Motorsport every day of the week probably if you wanted to travel for it.
What about Calder Park, the track they built and ran the Sprint Cup cars on, I guess it was back in the 90s, I think.
Yeah,
what happened with that deal, and do they still use that track?
I'm not actually quite sure. I think Calder Park, that's in Sydney, Australia. You might find that people might use it for a test track. I believe at one stage there they were running like your NASCARs. They were running Oz cars. I don't really know too much about that, but yeah, just another form of people putting their cars and their bodies on the line of great, amazing motorsport.
I gotta love it. I tell you, to me, it's the greatest thing in the world. Sit down and watch a good stock car race or a sprint car race or any kind of race, really. Back to what I touched on at the beginning. We hooked up because you're a member of my Facebook group, NASCAR and Other Racing, and I'd see some posts on there occasionally or comments from you, and I noticed your profile picture is Confederate States of America battle flag. Something
that's right.
Something that's kind of controversial here, and I'm thinking, is there a New Zealand connection to this flag or something that's going on? Because that's me to message you. I'm wanting to find out what the reasoning was behind that. And you replied it was because y'all are fans of the Dukes of Hazzard. And
yeah.
That thought never crossed my mind, but that's pretty cool. Is that a pretty big show among racers down there?
Oh yeah, back in the day when it was on, it was fantastic. Watching the Dukes of Hazzard on whatever weeknight it might have been on. Amazing. And just the way of doing things and the lingo and the twang and the language. I've probably got a twang now compared to you guys, but no, great stuff. And also got I quite like American history and stuff like that. So I just sort of felt this flag. I saw it and I thought, yep, that'll be my profile picture, I think. I understand that it hits on quite sensitive subjects, but mine's my own subject probably. And everybody's got a bit of rebel in them. Yeah,
definitely so, and it's not controversial to Southerners like me. It's to other people that it's controversial to because they think it stands for something else, and it doesn't. It's, to me, it's a mark of my heritage. I'm proud that I'm a Southerner. I have an ancestor who was a Confederate soldier, and I'll always be proud of him. I'll always acknowledge him. I'm not going to back down from my heritage.
No.
But just can't. And it's a shame that it's a problem here, but I'm sure sooner or later they'll get over it.
I'm sure they will.
It got so bad last year, you could go on Facebook and buy a Nazi flag, or you could go on Facebook and buy an ISIS flag, but you can't buy the battle flag that you use as your profile picture. You can't buy one of those flags on Facebook. They won't allow you to sell it.
I think that people should be able to express their rights with their freedom and things like that. But I think when we're starting to touch on ISIS flags and things like that, I think at some stage we have to say no, that's not acceptable. But in this situation with my profile pic, it's a picture. To me, it's a picture, and it represents a TV program that I watched years ago. And apart from that, I like American history, and Yeah,
see, it's the same thing with you. It's nothing controversial. It's just your feelings, the way you feel about certain things.
Yeah.
But that's enough about the politics. Let's get back to the racing. I've
been watching your politics. I'm looking at you maybe your next president.
There.
What's that, sorry?
How long does your racing season last down in New Zealand?
We race basically the summer months. We'll go through from October, and some tracks might push it out to say April. You might even get a a meeting in late April, and then of course sort of winter's starting to kick in then, so everybody sort of runs to the sheds to do the off-season rebuilds and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
We're trying to push the boundaries, I suppose, and go that little bit longer. But I think, and especially in contact classes, you'll find that the body's too sore, the car's worn out, and it needs a lot of TLC. So maybe race for 6 months a year and hang the boots up for 6 months probably isn't too bad. But then, of course, you've got other classes who wish that they could race all year round. Yeah. You
that's the way we are here, especially with sprint car racing. I've noticed there's quite a few sprint car drivers that leave the States and go to Australia and New Zealand to race because, you know, it's cold here and it's warm down there, so let's go down there and race.
Yeah, it is. It's rather warm today, actually. It's 20 past 3 in the afternoon and it's knocking on 30 degrees C. So brilliant for motorsport. We've got a big weekend, actually. Tomorrow night is the New Zealand Stock Car Teams Champs from Gisborne in the North Island on the East Coast. And I think there's about 12 teams there, all vying for the number one spot. And, of course, whoever wins the trophy, they are the holders, and that's where the next Teams Champs next season will be held at that track. So it's going to be a big weekend, and you can probably find that on if you search New Zealand Speedway, you'll probably be able to find a link where you could buy the live feed and watch it live, and there'll be lots of crashing and bashing, I'd be saying.
You got me curious. I'm going to have to check it out now. It's just a totally different style of racing than what we have here.
Yes.
Everybody, all the racers here, they'll lean on you, they'll rub you a little bit, try to knock you out of the groove, and down there you just knock the shit out of them and move them and go.
We show them the concrete.
There you go. That's a good way to put it. To show them the concrete.
Yeah. Go and throw some dirt and show them the concrete, and that's stock car racing, and it's awesome to watch.
Yeah, it definitely is. What kind of work do you do, Ox?
I'm sitting in an office now that's 27 degrees, and I'm about to go back into my freezer where it's minus 20 degrees C. So I run a commercial freezer operation in Napier on the east coast of the North Island, and our weather's just brilliant. And it's nice to come to work some days and walk into a minus 20 freezer.
Yeah, that's definitely the hot ticket in the summer is to be working where you are, where you're cooled off quick.
Yeah. So no, that keeps us busy. And in between that, the chap that works for me, he also races as well. So he's gearing up for a big night tomorrow night himself, and he races street stocks as well.
I've got to check that out. And people, New Zealand Speedway, you said?
Yep. You can probably find the link in Speedway New Zealand website. So just Google or search Speedway New Zealand, and then you'll find a link somewhere there, and you'll be able to go off and purchase tomorrow night's live footage.
Do they broadcast a lot of the racing on television, or is it pretty much in person?
A lot of it can be just in person, and then you'll get the big meetings. And there's about three companies, I think, in New Zealand who do different things, and it goes across the internet. And you can watch it that way. I can't recall just offhand who it is that does it, but yeah, if you Google it, you'll find it definitely, and it's fantastic watching.
I see. What about the racing we do here in the States? Do they broadcast much of it down there?
We see a lot of NASCAR. We don't see too much dirt track racing, as in like what we call the super modifieds, like the World of Outlaws and things like that, outlaw modified stunts. We don't see too much of that unless we go hunting for it on the net to have a look at it. But as I said, we get NASCAR, we get that live on Sky Sports, and yeah, man, those fellas know how to crash. It all turns rather nasty at 200 mile an hour, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is. And they drive like that and get paid for it too.
Yeah, our drivers down here, none of us get paid to do it. It's all the love of the sport, and in some cases a very understanding family, and especially the wife or the girlfriend who has to look after the bruises and the battered body, and also make it go without a pair of shoes because we need a new tyre or something like that, you know.
There you go. You gotta have your priorities. Does your wife go with you to the races?
Yep, she does. She enjoys the sport as well. She's done she's done one demolition derby, but the old car wasn't too fantastic, so that wasn't short. That was fairly short-lived. But no, she likes coming along. She likes the crashing and the bashing, and yeah, it's a good way to meet a lot of people and have a really good time where everybody's on the same wavelength. You know, it's all based around motorsport. Everyone's on the same wavelength, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's the way it is here. Everybody's there to at the track to race, and to a lot of them, it's a chance to mingle and communicate with friends they've made through racing that they don't get to see during the week. They'll see them at the track on the weekends.
Yeah.
About your family, do you have any other family members that go with you to the races?
Yeah, my kids are all sort of growing up now, so they're off doing their own thing. But when they were younger, yeah, they came out the track and everything like that. And now our young fella, he took a real shine to making a lot of noise and throwing dirt about. And so kids are a good thing at Speedway because that's the up-and-comers. That's the ones that get to sit there and watch Dad or watch Mum in some cases. And, you know, they're the next racers. So keeping kids in motorsport is actually a good thing, better than them being out doing other things that they shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, definitely so. None of your children had any interest in getting involved in driving or working on race cars?
No. I was the only one with that bug. And, yeah, they're off doing their things now, so they're in their early 20s, and so they're starting to make a life and get a business up and running and stuff for themselves, and so motorsport's probably nowhere near them like it was to me when I was their age. That's the only thing I wanted to do was race cars, and it didn't matter what. Yep,
that's the way. I would say 90% of the race car drivers here in the States are. They don't really care what class or what type of car they're running. They just want to race. It's in their heart, it's in their blood, and it's what they want to do. And if the car's safe, they'll climb in it and race just as hard as you want to race.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's brilliant. It's a great stress relief.
Yeah, definitely so. I've heard that talking to other drivers and being involved with NASCAR for a number of years, a lot of drivers climb in the car, and once they sit their butt down in that seat, the whole outside world ceases to exist, and they're just focused real strong on the task at hand. One of the drivers I worked with that was really intense before a race was Tim Richmond. I mean, Tim was a handful before the race started. I don't know if it was anxiety or adrenaline or what, but he was constantly pacing and, couldn't sit still. You very seldom see Tim, sit on pit wall and talk to people for any length of time. He couldn't be still. That's the way. Once he climbed in and strapped in, he was cool, calm, and collected. And he was ready to race, and he didn't care who he was racing. He was going to beat him.
Oh, wow. Yep, focused.
Yeah, focus is definitely a part of it. You've got to have your head on straight for it. I had a guy message me last night, asking me how to get started in racing. And he's never raced. He's got no family involved in racing. He's got no sponsorship. He's got nothing but the desire, really. And I tried to tell him, start at the bottom and work your way up. Start with what you can afford.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you do good, if you run good, somebody will notice eventually.
Yeah, they will. They will. And in the meantime, you've had a lot of fun trying to get there, and then if you're one of the lucky ones, you get picked, and the world's your oyster.
Definitely so. How about sponsorship down there for racing? Is it hard to come by, or a lot of companies here to get involved in it?
There are a lot of companies, I would say, that get involved with motorsport sponsorship. We need a lot of them. Probably with us being quite small in population, the turnover's not there, so we have probably a lot of sponsors rather than just a couple of big ones. You might have 10 sponsors that might make up for one of your sponsors in America or something like that. So it's very important.
I saw last year where Roger Penske is making a name for himself in Australia with the Super V8 car racing and everything.
Yeah, that's right.
So he's spreading his wings, which is always good. So I can't think of the gentleman's name he's teamed up with.
Marcus Ambrose.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. He's teamed up with Dick Johnson Racing, I think it is. Penske.
Yeah, Johnson. That was the guy's name.
Yep. I've actually been to his workshop a couple of years, or maybe 4 years ago. We were over in Australia, so we went to his workshop and had a good look around and up close with the race cars and everything like that. It was brilliant. And then, of course, just after that, Marcus Ambrose, he was already in the States at that stage racing NASCAR. So, yeah, now he's back over here and he's brought Tim Penske back with him.
Yeah.
And hopefully they're going to do some good things next year. And brilliant to see some out of towners, as we might put it, come down and have a play.
Yeah, well, Marcos was one that came over here, and I thought he did an excellent job adapting to NASCAR, and especially, he's a road course veteran, so especially he was a threat to win anytime they went to a road course. But he did quite well on a lot of the round tracks too.
Right, yes, he did. Yep. Yeah, he was at one stage in his career with driving V8 supercars, quite controversial, with a local chap here actually called Greg Murphy. But he's come a long way and he's done a lot of good things, Marcus Ambrose, and it'll be good to see him back this season, and hope he does well.
Yeah, I do too. I've always liked him, to tell you the truth. I was just always impressed with him. And I'd be impressed with anybody that would come this far away from their home country to try to race, to try to make it to the big time. To me, that's a guy with some balls. To come halfway around the world and try to race and be successful at it, that's definitely impressive.
Yeah,
while we got a moment here, Ox,
yep.
Take a few minutes or some time to give a shout out to recognize anybody you want to, your crew, sponsors, your family, your shop dog, whoever. Give them a shout out.
It's good. Everybody at Napier Cold Storage that chips in and keeps things going, and most of all the families, and pretty much other than that, the sponsors after that make the world go round, and make every man's or young person or woman's dreams come true in the motorsport world. So sponsorship's very important. So a big shout out to all the sponsors that everybody has.
Yeah, there you go. And let everybody know how to keep up with you on social media, how to talk with you, and when you go back to racing, how we can see how you're doing.
I've actually, years ago, I set up a YouTube page. Now, it is OX69B. So if you search that, you might find some old in-car camera footage of inside the Charger. So, yeah, I'm just looking at it now. Everything's still there, so you can come onto my YouTube page. That's OX69B, and there'll be about 16 in-car camera videos there. So, yeah, that will let you inside of looking over my left shoulder, and you'll see what I see. Great stuff.
Well, now that you've told me all this, it's 9:30 here in the States, and my ass is going to be up till sunrise watching videos now of Australian racing. I tell you, it's kind of like a pebble in my shoe. It's just constantly on my mind, and for some reason I'm just fascinated with it. So I'm going to follow it and keep up with it, and I hope to see you back on the track pretty soon.
Yeah, I hope to be back on the track at some stage in some capacity very soon, and yeah, we'll have to update that YouTube page of some more in-car camera footage. That'll be great.
I definitely will. I'll definitely check it out. Ox, I really appreciate you coming on the show, and I'm glad I got the opportunity to meet you and actually talk with you. You're a pretty fascinating dude. Keep in touch.
Thank you, Steve.
Let me know what's
great
going
talking
on
with you too.
Let me know what's going on in your neck of the woods, and I'll keep you informed with what's going on here. And the fact that you've watched enough of the Dukes of Hazzard, you probably don't have much trouble understanding what I'm saying because of my accent.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Let's see, people outside of the southeast United States, they have a hard time figuring out what I'm saying and everything. So,
good stuff.
Whatever it takes, let's keep in touch and let me keep up with what's going on to you. And I hope you get back on the track soon. And
Yeah, that'd be great.
If your wife gets in another demolition derby, I'd like to see that too. That's pretty impressive in itself.
Oh, I might have to jack her up and get that on camera too.
There you go. Ox, thanks again for coming on with us. Like
Good
I
stuff.
said, I really
Thanks for
enjoyed
having
meeting
me.
you and talking with you. And let me know when you get going, and I'll get you back on the show, hopefully after you win your next one.
Yeah, I always like to win something. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Steve. Great talking to you anyway.
You too, Ox.
Thank you,
Take
mate.
care of yourself, bud, and I'll be in touch.
Thank you. See you later, America. Good night.
Thanks, bud. We'll talk to you later. Well, what do you think, CJ? Is that guy cool or what?
Oh, yes, I'm definitely going to be sitting in the same boat as you later on tonight, and I'm definitely going to be watching some video.
I'm telling you, people, if you're listening to me, try to find video of the super stock class that runs down there. Like I said, those cars are built like tanks, but they'll haul buggy, they'll haul the mail, they'll go. And especially when they get that teen racing going where it's kind of like a roller derby. You got one guy that's trying to win, trying to score, and then you got a couple of other drivers that are protecting him and taking out the competition. So you don't see that kind of race strategy in NASCAR where,
no,
like you said, you put them up on the concrete. All right, so is our next guest still in? I see he's having a little trouble calling in.
Yeah, I got him.
Good deal. Well, let's keep right on rolling, and let's get in our next driver. The young man we're going to talk to next made a pretty good career out of racing UMP modifieds in the Northeast, and now he's got an opportunity to run K&N Pro Series East races for H. Scott Motorsports, which is a pretty good deal to have. I mean, you've got a lot of technical support there, and I would imagine he's going to do real good with it. So let's take some time and talk with this young man. His name is Tyler Dipple. Tyler, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm finer than hen's teeth. Just glad to be here. I was trying to think if I'd seen anything. Have you raced any yet this year?
Yeah, we just raced the opener at Speed Weeks at New Smyrna Speedway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when we raced the big block modified at Volusia there. Just a couple races just to start out the season so far.
Just to get your feet wet and your mind right, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I got to ask you, how difficult is it transferring from racing dirt modifieds to asphalt stock cars? Has that been a bit of an adjustment for you?
Not really. I mean, it's really not that big of an adjustment. I think just because I started doing it at such a young age, I'm used to it now. And I actually think it benefits you driving both because you learn different qualities and different kind of like aspects of both that help you drive. And it's really not that much of a change for me as a driver. It's really not too bad.
Yeah, I'm not a driver. I'm a mechanic, but I had always heard from other drivers that was the best way to learn how to drive a race car is to start out on dirt. And if you can make a car haul ass and handle and run up front on dirt, then the step over to asphalt is not that severe. You pretty much carry right on, just a little bit different feel to the car and everything. How old were you when you got started racing?
Oh, I got started racing probably just like go-karts, kind of like a scaled-down version of the dirt modified, probably around when I was 8, just started racing little stuff and then started moving up. Moved up to sportsmen and then small blocks, and I raced a little bit of super late models in the South, and then big block Northeast modifieds, and then this year in the K&N car.
Definitely, I understand that. What got you involved in racing? Was any of your family involved in it, or did you just pick it up yourself and decided that's what I want to do?
Oh, my family is really involved in racing. I actually started out. My dad used to race motocross, and I started out on a dirt bike, but I had an injury when I was a real little kid, and then we decided to go with the safer route and put a roll cage around me, and that's how I got involved in car racing.
That probably made your mom worry a little bit less, knowing you had some roll cage around you. How old are you now?
Currently 15. I'll be 16 in April.
Man, I got sneakers older than you. 15 going on 16 and already moving up into K&N. Do you think it's good or bad that the beginning age of stock car racing has dropped considerably over the past years? It used to be unheard of, and now it's very common for 6, 8, 9-year-olds to start racing. And by the time they get to your age, you know, they've got 6, 8, 10 years experience already racing. So they've got a long time ahead of them to get even better. Do you think they're starting them out too young now? Should there be an age limit on when you can race a stock car or race a UMP modified?
I don't really know if there should be a particular age limit. I just think they should know, like, if you're ready to move up and if you can handle that size of a car. I don't think there should necessarily be an age limit. It's just how far or how much you can handle with that size of a car. And I think it's good that some kids could start that young. It gives them a lot of experience. By the time, like you said, they're my age, you have a lot of experience under your belt and you're ready to move up. So I think it's a good thing to start kids that young.
Yeah, I basically feel the same way. I think if you're mature enough and you're able to handle yourself in a race car, then by all means go for it. So I don't have a problem with it either. I'm sure there's a lot of mothers out there that don't like it, but you know Dad's grinning from ear to ear when the boy runs good. How did you get hooked up? How did you get hooked up with H. Scott Motorsports?
Oh, just a lot of hard work and a bunch of people. A good friend of ours did most of that. Glenn Sullivan helped us get hooked up with them, and just through a bunch of people we know and just running the super late model and stuff, and just getting my name out there, and just a whole bunch of people that support me behind me, making phone calls and stuff, just helping me get that ride for this year.
You've mentioned the super late models a couple of times. You've been to the Snowball Derby and race, I assume.
No. That's one race that we haven't been to yet.
You hadn't made it there yet?
No, not yet.
Somebody messaged me earlier and wanted me to ask you, had you run down there? They thought you had. I didn't know you hadn't yet, but...
No, I've run Pensacola, but I haven't run the Snowball Derby yet.
Oh, and run the big race.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
It's not like you're reaching a retirement age anytime soon, so you got plenty of time to
we'll
check that off your bucket list.
Yeah, for sure.
Has H. Scott Motorsports got you set up to run for the Points Championship? Are you going to run all the races this year?
Oh, yeah, we're going to run the full East Series and just Yeah, just really just a good deal with those guys. They're such a good team. I just can't be more thankful to have such a good group of guys behind me for this season.
Yeah, there's not, any marquee names, but it's H. Scott is one of the race teams that I've heard that's very well organized and has good morale. The whole team is basically working towards single goals and working towards best for the team. Who's your crew chief over at H. Scott?
We have Fuzz over there. That's crew chief. Scott Hackett. The last 2 years, he's my crew chief for this season.
Cool deal. How is the communication and the chemistry between the two of you?
I think we started off great. I think the chemistry started out really strong. I think we bonded really well together and just have a lot of things in common. I just think the whole team really worked really well together the first race. We ended up 8th, but we got a bad restart, the last one, that shuffled us back. And I think the whole team really worked well together. I think it's going to be a good year for us.
Well, good. I'll be watching. I'll be wanting to see how you're doing. I would assume in your future you want to move up to a higher level in NASCAR. How far do you want to go, and how far do you think you can go?
I want to, eventually the goal is to reach Cup. I think if we play our cards right, we could definitely make it there, but that's the goal, and we're just going to take it one step at a time each year and just keep trying for good results and just keep hoping to move up.
I heard that. And you race your modifieds like on your weekends off, or if there's a big race coming up that you don't have another one scheduled for, do you pull the modified out and take some laps in it and try to pick up a trophy or two there?
Yeah, we got a couple modified races planned for this year. We're not, probably we'll race around 15 races, probably around 20 there with the big block. Got to work around the K&N schedule, but yeah, we'll definitely go to some races in that and try and pick up some wins in the big block.
I heard that. I first noticed you or caught wind of you and who you were and everything. There was some controversy at the end of last season with you and your racing fuel. Clue me in and explain to me what happened there.
Oh, that was that Super Dirt week at the Syracuse Fairgrounds. We sat on the outside pole of the small race, and they checked fuel after that, and we had done nothing to it. And I don't know, the dirt car officials, they just made a mistake there, and they disqualified us for the race, and after they sent it out to the lab, it came back perfectly legal. So I don't really know what happened there. They just a mess up by the officials there. Obviously, it was really tough luck for us because we had a really fast car, but just the officials screwed up there.
That's a way to lose a race that really kind of breaks your heart, not your spirit, but your heart, that you worked that hard to run that good and then had it taken away from you for something that was out of your control and wasn't even really anything that was illegal. But I guess it was because it was the Syracuse Nationals. It was a pretty big deal. You know, they talked about it for a couple of weeks, and I saw a post about it and everything, and I couldn't get hooked up with you last year when it was happening to talk to you about it, but I kept you in mind, and I decided, well, I'll get him on the first show and ask him. But so it all got cleared up and everything in the end?
Yeah, I mean, they kind of just said sorry. I mean, we kind of made a mistake. That was after the race, but there's nothing they could really do to it. It's just more of kind of a heartbreaker. I mean, all of our guys there, crew chief Matt Hearn just worked so hard, and he got that car so perfect for me. It just such a heartbreak. I mean, to run that good and then just have it taken away from you for really no reason. I mean, everything came back fine. It was just, they just messed up.
That race is, you're from New York also, aren't you?
What did you say? I didn't catch that.
I said that race in Syracuse, you're also from New York, aren't you?
Yeah, we're from Walk Hill. It's kind of like an hour south of Albany, New York.
Did you have, I'm sure you had a lot of fans there at the Nationals. Does any of your family follow your racing or go with you to the races?
Oh, yeah, we had a bunch of fans there. And my family was actually at that race. And my family, they go to as many races as they can, try and be supportive. They're awesome with the support. And, yeah, they were trying to go to as much races as they can. They were actually at that one, too.
That's good. Does anybody else, I know you said your dad raced dirt bikes, does anybody else in your family race?
No, not really. It was really just my dad and my grandparents raced a little bit, not too much, though.
Well, so all their focus is on your racing, then that works out pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. That helps a lot.
So at 16, are you still in school?
Yeah, right now I'm still a sophomore in high school.
Planning on graduating?
Yeah, I think we could. I'm planning on doubling up. I think I could get out a year early because I'm in some advanced classes. So I think I have enough credits to graduate my junior year. And hopefully we could do that and just start racing.
A lot more work, but it definitely cuts down or opens up more time for you to race. Do you have any plans to continue your education after high school? Have you thought about going to college?
I mean, I think I'm planning on it. It's still up in the air, but I think we're going to try and get out a year early. I mean, it's a little bit more work, but I think it'll pay off in the long run. Yeah,
I agree. It probably will. Or it should pay off good for you anyway. I tell you, 16 years old, and you've already had a pretty successful career from what I've seen. And it sounds like with the deal you've got with H. Scott Motorsports and all the opportunities and doors that just being on that team opens, that your future is looking pretty bright right now. So I'm sure you'll jump on it and take advantage of it, and I'll be reading more about how you're running more and more.
Oh, yeah. Really, I hope you're right. I just really can't wait for 2016 to really kick into gear. I'm just so excited for the H. Scott deal and just even run my dirt car, but really just can't really be more thankful for the opportunities I had for this year.
Well, really, to me, that sounds like a pretty good deal to have, a dirt modified that you can run and keep your dirt skills polished, and at the same time, you've got the opportunity to race in the K&N series and run those races. Which K&N race have you got circled on your calendar? Which one do you think could be big for you, could be a track that you would run good at?
Honestly, I've really only been to one on the schedule, but I think we could run good at all of them. I mean, I think just the team, it's just really good. I think me and the crew chief, Buzz, we really got a strong chemistry, and I think we could. I'm just really excited to go to Dover. I really have that one circled on my calendar. I just really heard so much about the place, watch it on TV. I just really can't wait to go to that track. But I think we could run good at most of the tracks that we go to. It's just a good team and have good chemistry with the crew members.
Yeah. time is important, is especially important to you at this point in your racing. Nothing will make you better than turning laps. Nothing makes you more consistent, and consistency is usually what it takes to win races. So I can see the advantage there, and I tell you, it's kind of like things are looking good for you, and your future's mapped out pretty good and everything. So I wish you the best of luck. I hope you take advantage of it, which I'm sure you will, and it works out good for you, and it gets you up to the level you want to be at, up at the Cup level, where you can be running with the best of the best. While I've got a minute here, take a minute to give a shout-out to anybody you want to recognize, your sponsors, your crew, H. Scott, anybody you want to give a shout-out to. Take time, do it now.
I'd just like to give a big thanks to my mom and dad and my sister, all my sponsors, Geico, Trenchless Technologies, East West Marine, DNA Concrete, Geo Pro Car, just Matt Hearns, Al, Kyle, Glenn Sullivan, people that help us out on the dirt team, H. Scott Motorsports, crew chief Buzz, the crew guys Mike, Dusty from the H. Scott team, just all the people that helped this big thing come together. I just really can't thank them guys enough for helping me this year.
I heard that, and let everybody know how they can follow you on social media so we can keep up and see how you do this year.
You guys could go check out Tyler Diffel Racing page on Facebook, and also follow me on Tyler Diffel on Twitter.
Did they have a Rookie of the Year award for the K&N E-Series? And is that something you're running for, too?
Yeah, they have a rookie award, and we're planning on running for that this season, too.
Good deal. Well, I wish you the best of luck, and I appreciate you coming on the show tonight with us and talking with us. I'm glad I got to meet you. Makes me feel old that you're only 16, but keep it up. Don't worry about what I think. It's not important. But thanks a lot for coming on, Tyler. And like I said, keep us posted on social media on how you're doing and everything, and I'll be looking for you on TV at least. Syracuse Nationals is another big race that I've heard a lot about and haven't had the opportunity to go to, so maybe I can catch up with you there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I just want to thank you for taking the time tonight and having me on. I also just forgot to thank all the fans before. Just without them, none of this could happen. I just want to give a big shout-out to all my fans out there.
A good deal, because you're right. The fans drive this sport more than anything else, more than money does or anything. You've got to have fans there that want people to race and they want to see competition and everything. So it's always good to recognize them, too. That's good on your part. Well, Tyler, I'm going to let you go, bud, and I'll be watching you and keeping up with you, and I'll get you back on after you win a K&N race. We'll get you back on and talk to you then. If you would, message me your mailing address, and let me send you some of our show's sponsors' product, Snafu Seasoning. It's an excellent spice rub that a good friend of mine, Jimmy Haywood, produces and everything, and it's good stuff. So send me your address, and I'll send you a bottle of it and let you check it out.
Oh, yeah, for sure, I will. Just want to thank you guys for having me again.
All right. Well, thanks again, Tyler, and I feel like I'm sure I'll be back and I'll be talking with you later on this year after something great happens in the K&N.
Oh yeah, hopefully soon.
There you go. Thanks again for coming on, Bud. We'll talk to you later.
Oh, no problem.
All right. We'll see you. Well, CJ, how does that make you feel? 15 going on 16 and already climbing the ladder and heading to the top.
I realize you got a couple years on me, quite well, more than a couple, but it does make me feel old. I turned 38 myself in 2 days, so I definitely feel old. But, this kind of goes back to the point real quick, and then we got our guest. But it brings me back to the point when we talked Monday night, Rubbinous Racing, that the talent and the age, it's remarkable. The fact that we had, I want to say, 6 teenage drivers in the Truck Series race, it just lets us know how bright the future is for NASCAR. There was a big concern there for the longest time where NASCAR was going to go, because I want to say somewhere between like 2007 until 2 or 3 years ago, the Rookie of the Year drivers were no longer driving. We had a few drivers come in each year, but it was nothing that was loaded with talent and nothing that lasted. And now we're starting to see, our Kyle Larsons and our Austin Dillons and our Chase Elliott's, and not to mention our Christopher Bells and your Chris Bushers and everything else that's still coming up through the series. It's phenomenal to see and get a listen to all these great drivers. Last night we just got the opportunity on my show to talk to Austin Gear over at Rev Racing, the youngest driver in their stable at 13 years old. Doesn't even turn 14 until September, and driving the Legends cars, and it's great. It gives you this excitement knowing that this sport is already with all the different series, the K&N Pro, the ARCA series, all the way up in the different programs they put in place, like the Drive for Diversity, to help make sure that all the talent gets this opportunity and gets groomed the right way, so that we don't lack any talent in the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and the Sprint Cup Series. It's beyond exciting, and it kind of puts chills on my arms and my back, getting to see this, especially being on all these different shows, getting to see the talent and talk to this talent that the rest of the people don't get to do. And it's definitely exciting. For all those fans out there that are worried that, oh, my God, Stewart's gone after this season, we just left Jeff Gordon, Earnhardt's getting old, you got nothing to fear. The drivers like Tyler is a prime example why there's so much to look forward to in the upcoming years when it comes to NASCAR.
I got a feeling within 10 years it's going to be hard to find a driver like Dale Earnhardt Jr. who can grow a beard. These guys are going to be so young, they won't even be shaven, and they'll be winning races. So I think the landscape's in for a change. There's a changing of the guard coming on, and we'll just have to take it as it is and see how it works. And speaking of being able to work with young drivers and getting people started and everything, it's going to bring us to our third and final guest. This gentleman has been involved in stock car racing for many a moon. I'm not saying he's old or anything, but he's been around the sport for quite a while. His dad, Harry Ranier, owned the 28 car, driven by people like Buddy Baker, Cale Yarborough, and most noticeably, Bobby Allison. And we're going to talk about the Allisons and how closely the Raniers and the Allisons have worked together and everything. So let's go ahead and bring out Loren Ranier, who works, he is a car owner in the K&N series, and out of his shop, he's also running ARCA races and truck racing. So Loren's got a lot going on, and I'm sure he'll be pretty busy, but I'm sure that's the way he likes it. Loren, how you doing, bud?
Doing great, guys. How are you?
Oh, just glad to be here. I tell you, I have a lot of fun doing this show. I get to talk to a lot of people about racing. Before I did this show, I didn't know jack about dirt track racing, and I have learned a ton about dirt track racing just from doing this show, so I'm always happy to talk to somebody. And I'm interested in your career. I know who your dad was because I was working at Hendrick Motorsports the same time that y'all were racing big, that things were really going good with Cale and everything. And I was thinking about it today, and we were both in the NASCAR garage at pretty much the same time, just working for different teams, and didn't know each other or anything, but probably nodded our head to each other as we'd pass and everything, because after you see guys in the garage week and week and week, you start, kind of developing a friendship just saying that you know them and everything. And I used to, I was a tire tech. I did the tires for Harry Hyde at Hendrick Motorsports, and if I wasn't specifically working on tires, Harry would kind of have me shuffling through the garage, looking at other cars, trying to recognize differences and everything. And I used to look at Davy's number 28 a lot. There was always, something body-wise that had been massaged there and everything for a little bit of an advantage, and then having a driver that good was a big advantage. You helped get Davey started in racing, didn't you?
Well, not started in racing. Bobby did all that. Bobby and Donnie and the whole Allison family did that. But what I did help Davey get started. Help him land his first big Cup ride, and that was with my father in the 28 car, the Haviland, the Texaco Haviland car in 1987. So I did help Davey secure that ride, and Davey and I become friends in 1981 when Bobby drove for my father. So we'd had a relationship, and I'd followed him throughout the 80s, the early 80s, as he was developing, and he was running around the country with what they called the Peach Fuzz Gang, racing all kinds of different series, and so when the time came and Cale Yarbrough left our team, and we were looking for a driver, we really couldn't hire the guys we want, and so it ended up being a situation where we felt like we could take somebody and make a superstar out of them, and that's exactly what we did with Davey, and it worked out really well.
Yeah, you made a wise choice there. You picked a good one. There's no doubt about it. How was it working with Bobby as far as Davey's career progressing and everything? Was there a lot of input, a lot of back and forth between the two of them, comparing notes and ideas?
Well, I think there was from the father-son aspect. Actually, in the beginning when the idea was floated about Davey actually driving that race car, Bobby was kind of not for it, just thinking that Davey didn't have enough experience. And he told my dad that I don't know that he's quite ready for a car like that. And so my dad told Davey that, and Davey goes, "I don't care what he says, I'm driving that car." So that was kind of an interesting little deal that went on. But, yeah, I mean, obviously in that era, we're talking 30 years ago now. Bobby was completely supportive of him and coached him all the way. And, the thing about Davey, though, you didn't have to do a lot of coaching. He'd do a lot of asking. He'd go out and find the answers that he was looking for. He knew how to do that, whether it be from his dad or whomever he needed to get them from. And he was a very smart, talented, determined young guy back when we did that deal with him. He was only 25 years old when we put him in that car. So it was a pretty awesome deal when it all went down, and people thought we were crazy when we did it, but I think we showed them that it was the right move.
Yeah, it definitely was. There's no doubt about that. Davey was just from what I knew of him, from being around him in the garage and stuff, he was really a very professional type of guy. He didn't often lose his cool that I knew of or anything. He was always focused and just a real nice guy. And I had wondered about the relationship between him and Bobby, because anytime I think about it, I think of two pictures I've seen over the years. One of them was Bobby and Davey in Victory Lane at Daytona, pouring beer on each other and smiling hard and everything. So you knew there was some love there. But the one that really impressed me that I saw again not long ago was Davey had crashed and the car was on fire. And here's Bobby running and jumping as hard as he could to get to his son. And I thought, this guy is, not focused on the race as much as he's focused on his son and his son's health. Did that ever come into play when they were racing each other, that one would feel some sentiment toward the other because of the family relationship and maybe not push him as hard?
Actually, there's a funny story about that. So this would have probably been 1987. They asked Bobby if it come down, this was, a year or so before they had the 1-2 finish at Daytona. And they said, the question one of the reporters asked, said, if it come down, to a last lap, finish between you and Davey, would you let him win? And Bobby went, Davey who? I thought that was pretty funny. So I think Bobby realized that when they come to racing, they're racing to win, both of them. And he's not going to let him win. He proved that in 1988, when Bobby won the Daytona 500 and Davey finished second. Davey tried to pass him for 20 laps and couldn't do it. And no, there wasn't anything like that at all. I mean, they obviously had the close father-son relationship, and they were very close. But when they put the helmets on, it was all business. Everybody had to take care of their own stuff, and that's how they operated.
Yeah, once the helmet comes on, there ain't no family or friends anymore.
No.
The best and biggest memory I have of Davey, if you let me tell a little story here, I was tire carrier for Jeff Bodine, and we were at Dover, which has quite a narrow pit road, not a lot of room to maneuver around or anything. And we were pitting the pit closest to turn one right ahead of Davey. But we were separated in quite a bit when this caution came out. And Davey got to his pit first and pretty much got done by the time Jeff got to our pit and we got started. And I dropped the right side tires off. And back then, NASCAR didn't police keeping your stuff in the pit box so much. So the tire changers would try to set the tires they took off outside of their box as far as they could to make the car behind them or pitting in front of them drive around them, getting in and out of their pit, try to slow them down. But we had changed right side tires, and I went out and around the rear tire laying outside the box and got out on pit road, and Davey was coming out of the pits. And I could hear the engine through the radio headphones, and I knew he was coming, and I got out of the way, and he made a move and everything, so nothing happened. But the thing that I'll always remember is I got hit 3 times on pit road, and none of the drivers that hit me ever came and asked how I was or if I was all right or anything. And Davey didn't hit me. I mean, we avoided each other. There was no problem. But as soon as that race was over, he was down there at our hauler asking Harry Hyde, which guy was the tire carrier that he almost hit and everything. And then he came over to me just apologizing, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get that close to you and everything. And it was actually my fault because I was out in pit road. But after that, I thought, that's a pretty decent attitude to have, and that's a pretty decent young man that'll come down and at least check on you, to ask about you, to see if you're all right, even though nothing happened. And I don't know, he was one of the drivers that was always in the back of my mind. I'd be watching the race and keeping up with the race, but at the same time, he was one of the drivers where I would note where he was running. I'd be like, well, Davey's up to fifth, he's coming. But he was just a phenomenal driver. I think I saw something posted that today was his birthday, was it?
That's correct. Yeah, today is his birthday. It was actually my dad's birthday as well, and so they shared a birthday.
That's another cool deal, and another connection too.
Yeah.
Your dad had some pretty great drivers sit in his car, and a lot of the drivers he had were just balls to the wall chargers. Cale Yarborough, Buddy Baker are two of them I can think of right offhand that would just drive the wheels off the car, but they could produce with it. What was the team attitude toward that? Was there more of being conservative, or was the team attitude just turn them loose, let them do what they do, and let the chips fall where they may?
Well, with Buddy and Cale, a unique situation because they both ran limited schedules. Neither driver ran for a championship, and so my father was not interested in points or anything like that. All he cared about was winning major races. Obviously, the Daytona 500 being the biggest race, and so they put all their effort into winning races, and Buddy did that. The first year he won, I think he won 3 races. Actually, in that first year he won Martinsville, and in 1979, and then in 1980 he won Daytona. He won the 500, and then he actually won Talladega as well. And and then after that, then Bobby drove the next year, and they ran for the championship and finished second to Darrell in 1981. And then 82 was not really a very good year for us. We had a transition year with Benny Parsons in the car the first part of the year, and then Buddy Baker back in the car the second half of the year. And then in 83 through 86, they had Cale. We had Cale, and that was back to a limited schedule, 16 races a year, and just really focusing on the major speedways and really winning the 500 and as many major races as they could.
I was around Buddy a little bit, but not that much. What was he like as a person? What was he like outside of the car? Was he as intense as he was when he was strapped in?
Well, Buddy was actually one of the funnest guys to hang out with, period. At the racetrack, away from the racetrack, probably. People look forward to rain delays with Buddy because he'd start telling stories, and it was hilarious. He'd start telling stories about him and Tiny Lund going fishing and all the stuff they got into, and it was really he and my dad actually become really, really close friends, and actually he and Waddell Wilson had a really great relationship as well, and so he was actually pretty fun to be around. And as far as Cale was just intense. He was just about winning races. Period. He showed up to win. That's all that motivated him, and that was really it. So and the same with Bobby. Bobby was there to win championships, and Bobby was such a diverse driver that it made no difference what racetrack you took him to, road course, speedway, short track, intermediate track, made no difference. He would be competitive on every every racetrack he went to. Bobby Allison was competitive.
Yeah, I know what you mean when you talk about the stories that Buddy would tell, because Buddy and Harry Hyde were good friends, and a lot of times if there was some downtime or something, Buddy would come hang out by our car at our hauler and swap stories with Harry. And you're right, he'd tell you some stories that would have you rolling on the floor, that they were so funny. Let me change the subject right quick. I got a message here from somebody that was asking about the 1981 Le Mans that Bobby drove. What can you tell us about that?
Well, I've actually read. There was a Facebook thread that people were talking about some certain things that went on. How Petty actually won the race, the 500 that year, on a pit call, and the Le Mans story is a very long story. That's almost a show in unto itself, how that whole thing happened. But what happened in the race actually was they come down to the last pit stop, and Bobby was driving for my dad in the Le Mans, and we actually ran out of fuel on the back straightaway and had to coast in. And that was the day that we actually put on 2 tires, and then Richard Petty and Dale Inman made a call to just go with fuel only, and they ended up winning the race. But the biggest issue that we had was we were out of fuel for half a lap, and we had to coast to pit road. That was the biggest. That's really what cost Bobby the race, not the 2 tires. And so there were some people that were talking about that tonight via Facebook post, and I'm sure that's
where I got it from. I sent a message. I told him I'd ask and see what I could find out. It seems like y'all had a pretty good grasp on the Le Mans. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when Cale qualified at 200 miles an hour on the first lap, I don't remember, 83 or 84, and then crashed to Monte Carlo on the second lap. Mm-hmm. Didn't y'all pull a Le Mans out of the trailer as a backup car and go on to win the race in that Le Mans?
That's correct. Yeah, that's the Le Mans was the backup car, and it was a really good race car. It was a car that Benny Parsons drove the year before. It actually ran 200. The first car to officially qualify 200 miles an hour at Talladega in May of '82, and it was that car. So it was a really good race car. Both those cars were tested in January prior to the 500 that year, and it was really kind of a really neat experience. We had Cale Yarborough actually Cale drove both cars, and then we had A.J. Foyt down there actually testing with Cale, so we could run both cars together, and had all the team there, and they had some engineers there, Mr. Kunkelstein and a few other engineers that were there, and so they really put a big effort into that deal, and then that Monte Carlo ended up flipping, and then they brought that Le Mans out, and it's funny because there's a big, kind of a myth that goes along with that, like it was a show car, and the car actually may have been used as a show car, but it was a straight up, race car. So it was a race car, but anyway, and it went on to win the 500 that year, so it was really good.
Yeah, I remember that. At that time in the garage, everybody was talking about, well, Cale ran 200 and then crashed the car, and the Le Mans isn't going to be as good, and Cale will be back in the middle of the pack because he doesn't have his Monte Carlo and everything, and that wasn't the case. I mean, he ran up front, put on a strong show, and finished good with the checkers. So, I tell you,
well, he made a last lap pass there. He did the whole slingshot move, getting into 3. and won the race there. Actually passed Buddy, who was driving for the Woods brothers that year.
I didn't remember that. I
Mm-hmm.
do remember the in-car shot at the end, at the start-finish line where Cale's pumping his fist and very excited about winning that race and everything, and proving to people that were saying without the Monte Carlo he couldn't do it or anything, and he proved them wrong. And Cale Yarborough is pretty much about the toughest driver I've ever been around. Him and Supertex, A.J. Foyt, they were both no-nonsense, intense guys. I remember one time Harry Hyde said, we were talking about Cale for some reason, and Harry said, that son of a bitch is so tough, you'd have to castrate him with a chainsaw. And that just always stuck in my mind. And that describes pretty much how Cale was. I mean, he was a very intense driver. Out of that era, who was your favorite driver to work with? Who was your favorite driver to be around?
It's not that for me is not even close. Bobby Allison is by far my favorite driver. It's he was my favorite driver prior to him driving for my dad. He taught me a lot about racing and really kind of what a complete driver was like. You know, a guy that could be competitive anywhere. And always Bobby Allison, my all-time favorite driver. Not just that he drove for us for 1 year, and we only got 1 year with him, but we did win 5 races with him and finished second in the points championship. But all-time favorite driver, Bobby Allison.
Yeah, definitely. He was another one. He was just they were all just pure race car drivers. That's what they knew how to do. That's what they wanted to do, and they had that competitive fire. And they'd show up in the garage on sign-in day with fire in their eyes. And by the time Sunday got there, they were ready to race, and they were expecting to win. These are guys that didn't go to the track, get up Sunday and go to the track and hope they would run good. These guys expected to run good, and if they didn't, they were very disappointed. They wanted to know why, and they wanted to fix it for the next time they came back. But outside of that, later on, your career carried you into being a spotter, and I know you've just retired from spotting for Jamie McMurray. How much change did you see from the time you started spotting until this past season? How much has being a spotter changed is what I'm trying to ask.
Well, it certainly has changed. The racing has changed, and you have all these double file restarts now, and the competition's just a lot closer and tighter, and the information that you relay into the drivers now is a lot different than it was 15, 20 years ago, and so it's become a pretty critical job as far as the race team goes, because when it first started, you just kind of put somebody up there to kind of let them know if there was a wreck somewhere, and that was the main function, was just pure safety, just to let him know what's around the corner if there was an issue. And when with the helmets the way they are, the seats the way they are, the Hans devices the way they are, the headrests the way they are, their view is definitely limited compared to what it used to be when those guys ran with open face helmets, bubble goggles, and no headrests. They could turn their head and see what's around them. You just can't do that anymore. So the spotters, it's certainly still a safety. It's a safety position, is what it is, but it's well beyond that now, to where it's competitive. It's a competitive device. Your spotter is to try to help you with as much information as you can give the driver, and that's it's pretty critical now that you have a chemistry with the driver and the spotter, that it's a trust thing, and it's how the spotter delivers information and how the driver wants to hear it and all that type of thing. So it's definitely changed a lot, definitely.
Yeah, it definitely has changed. From, like you said, just pointing out where there's trouble on the track to actually being involved in the race strategy and everything. I don't think people realize how big of a part the spotter plays in a restart. And a good spotter, can get you on a restart, can get you out in the lead and get you a position or two. By watching things like, I remember one guy, I can't think of his name right now, that would talk about, he was a spotter, and when they'd come to out of turn 4, he would be watching the nose of the car beside his car. And as soon as he saw that nose raise up a little bit off the track, he knew that driver was on the gas, and he would be hollering, go, 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 to get his driver on the gas and going. So it's like you said, it's a lot more involved now than just, car in the wall, turn 4. It's really gotten a big part, I would say, in the top 5 of the people you need on a race team: you driver, crew chief, a good spotter, and good engineer. Those are what it takes now to be competitive, where before, back in my day, it was all up to the crew chief then, and if you had a good crew chief, you were going to be competitive. So it's interesting to see the way it's changed. Do you think you're going to miss it now that you're retired?
I don't think so. I got to spot the Daytona 500 last week for Matt Kenseth in a fill-in role. His spotter got injured, and so I did that last week, and that was enough for me. And so I certainly don't want to go back to it full time. It's 38 weekends, that you're committed to do this. And, so 38 out of 52, that sure doesn't leave you much, especially if you have children. And I have 2 small, well, not small, but younger sons, 8 and 12. So that's that's a factor in all this as well. And I don't think I'll miss it. I spent 20 years doing it, and then I think that was long enough.
Yeah, that's enough traveling and sleeping in a strange bed and eating strange food and stuff. My buddy CJ wants to talk to you a second. You there, CJ?
Yeah, I'm here, and I'm glad you brought that up about the Matt Kenseth thing. I'm really curious because it was cool to watch this team and to include the affiliate with Martin Truex at Daytona and how well everybody worked together, especially after the restarts. As a spotter, and from your point of view, how difficult was that to get everybody to stay on the same sheet of music with the restarts, the pit stops and everything, so that all those cars were able to stay out front all the way until the very last lap?
Well, all the spotters, we were all together up there, and everybody was committed from that side of it, from the JGR and the Toyota side of it was committed to work together, and they all bought into it. And with 2 to go, or actually really even right coming to the white, there was 5 Toyotas in line, and that's really all you can ask for, because once the white flag comes out, it's every man for himself at that point. And so everybody worked together great, because Matt started on the top on the last 2 restarts, and Martin let him in, and that put everybody back in line. So everybody worked together great, and it was a good experience. I wish the last lap would have gone a little bit different for Matt and the 20 team, but it is what it is, and those guys end up winning the race. The JGR guys end up winning it with Denny, and Matt made the move that he thought he had to make to win the race, and I was just giving him the information as I was seeing it, how fast Denny was coming, and he went up to try to make a block, and just couldn't quite pull it off.
Was was you kind of staring around to see which one of the other ones, other spotters, was that team was going to be the one to make a move? I know that there was no team orders, but you knew eventually. And honestly, even though they kept talking about Denny Hamlin, and you knew Denny Hamlin, there was a good chance he would. I honestly thought if anybody was going to jump out, it would have been Martin Truex, just because you got the affiliation. You're not actually Joe Gibbs Racing, and the rest of them. Yeah, everybody wants to win the Daytona 500, but to have everybody up front and finish 1 through 5 with the affiliation, that would have been one hell of a Daytona 500. And, of course, Carl Edwards with his aero issue with the wreck, obviously he was just happy to be where he was. But I just can imagine everybody looking around like, okay, which one of y'all is going to send your driver to try to take down the top spots? Was it really quiet that last lap?
Well, the whole move that Denny made was a counter move on the 4. He saw the 4 coming, and he moved out in the tri-oval, taking the white, and then he actually moved back in line, and then he saw how fast Harvick was coming. So really what he was doing, he was making a counter move on the 4 to block the 4, and the 4 ended up just really going down the back straightaway, just nailing him. And then Denny had a tremendous run, and then Matt tried to pull up and block him and just couldn't do it. And he just goes on and wins the race. And I think Denny's thought was he just wanted to make sure that the 4 didn't make the move to win the race. He wanted to make sure Toyota won the race. He didn't think he could make it to the lead, I don't think. And he just wanted to block the 4, and the 4 ended up really pushing him to the win.
Now, was you in fear that that was going to be the start of the big one, and it looked like Kenseth got really loose when all that happened? Was you holding your breath when all that happened?
Yeah. I mean, for sure. It was a big, big. He got him in the left rear pretty big, and Matt saved it and actually got in the wall just a tiny bit, and then straightened it out and went on. But yeah, it was disappointing. I got to say, it would have been nice to be my last race, but hey, that's as they say, that's racing, and when the white flag comes out, the gloves come off, and that's how.
And I got one more thing real quick, and I'm going to hand you back over to Steve. The 28 car and the historic names that have driven in that car. I can only imagine now be able to be part of your family and sit back and just think about how much of the history of NASCAR that you guys were involved with, and how many Hall of Fame drivers and drivers that helped shape this sport. But more so with you and the K&N Pro Series stuff that you got going on right now, and like I was talking about a little bit earlier, with the young talent that we're seeing right now, and the fact that we had so many teenage drivers in the Champion World Truck Series race, how much has that changed in your view, seeing, when you was involved way long ago, and, it was not so many young drivers versus now, and how exciting is it for the sport in your eyes, knowing that we got so many talented young drivers that we are not going to be anywhere close? I know a lot of people are in fear of the Gordon leaving and Stewart leaving after this year, and Junior in his 40s now, and so forth and so forth. I know there was a lot of fear on, is there going to be drivers to fill these spots and carry these names and carry NASCAR and carry that banner? In your point of view, should we have any fear at all, having the opportunity now to work with a much younger group of drivers?
Well, I think the sport's in really good hands with all the young talent that's out there. There will not be a shortage of race car drivers at all. If anything, there's probably way more talented guys than there are quality rides or funded rides. That's your biggest issue now. Is not talent. It's just flat money. There's really, really good guys out there that deserve opportunities that will probably never get them, and that's the unfortunate part of this business. Is some people have the wherewithal to make the financial things happen, and just some people don't, and they never get the opportunity. That's the part I struggle with probably the most when it comes to developing these young guys. Is there's some people out there that truly deserve a shot. Because if you think in all the stick and ball sports, if you're a 16-year-old kid that can throw a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, there's a good chance you're going to get to play some college ball or minor league ball or eventually make it in the majors. Just strictly on your talent. Same thing with football or same thing with basketball. You're going to make it on your talent. Well, guess what? In motorsports, you don't get that opportunity. Not everybody does. A few do, but not everybody does. So that's the part that I kind of struggle with is how many Carl Edwards are out there on these dirt tracks that'll never get an opportunity. That part is a little bit disappointing when it comes to motorsports, just because of the cost of doing business. But I can tell you right now, there'll be no shortage of quality young race car drivers for NASCAR in the future. That'll never be a problem.
Probably not. I don't think so either. But your racing career has kind of taken a turn toward that. You own a K&N Pro Series East race team. You're also scheduled to run some ARCA races and some Camping World Truck Series races. How are your feelings about the future for this year as far as getting quality runs in these three different type cars that you have? And who have you got driving for you? Have you got drivers lined up for the truck and the ARCA shows?
Yeah, we do. We have, I'll tell you the driver lineup that we have. We have Spencer Davis, 17-year-old kid that'll be running the full K&N. Yeah, really talented young kid. And then we have another kid by the name of Kyle Benjamin, who ran K&N last year. And he'll run 7 K&N races and 7 ARCA races. And then we have Brandon Jones, who runs full Xfinity for Richard Childress Racing. He's going to run 5 ARCA races and 6 to 8 truck races for Renier Racing with MDM. So that's our driver lineup this year.
You got a pretty full plate there, a lot going on. How hard is it as the owner to keep things running smooth, keep morale up, provide your teams with what they need and everything? How big of a stress is that on you now?
Well, fortunately, I have some really good partners that's the MDM part of this thing, and we've got some great partners with Matt Miller, Doug Fuller, and Mike Hillman. So they're really, really good partners that each of us kind of handle different aspects of the race team. So that's really not been that tough when you kind of spread out the responsibilities. And so we've got a good group of people. We're not that big a race team yet, but we've just gotten started. So, but we're excited about where we're headed. We've had one race already, the K&N race at New Smyrna, where we finished second and fourth in our debut race. So we were excited about that. And we're our next event will be in Mobile, Alabama, March 12th, another K&N event, and we'll have two cars there. So we feel like we've got a good group of people. We've got competition director is Mark McFarland. We've got Marty Lindley as one of our crew chiefs, Butch Lindley's son Marty, and we've got Doug Howe as another crew chief, and a really great group of people that work for them. So we've got a good group, and we've got good drivers, and we've got good affiliations. So I feel like we've got a really good package here for this development team.
Yeah, you mentioned you had some good partners, and you mentioned Mike Hillman. Where have I heard his name before?
Well, Mike's been a crew chief over the years, and he owned Hillman Racing last year that ran Landon Castle in the Cup Series and the 40 car last year. So Mike's been around a long time, got a lot of knowledge. And then his son, Mike Hillman Jr., is actually Brandon Jones's crew chief at RCR in the Xfinity team. So very, very experienced people, and got a lot of knowledge when it comes to racing. So, again, we've got a good group of people, and we're kind of excited about what we got going on.
All in all, are you satisfied with the way your racing career has gone, what you've accomplished in racing and everything? And are you excited about the future, the new deal with being a team owner and everything?
Well, yes and no to that. Certainly, back in the late 80s when my father sold the team to Robert Yates, I probably would have liked that to go in a little bit of a different direction. But as far as what I've done over the last 20 years kind of on my own, I'm pretty well satisfied. I've had a long association with Chip Ganassi. He's been phenomenal to work for. He's been a great friend, and so that's been a really good situation for me. And I'm still affiliated with Chip as well. So that's been really, really good. As far as the spotting goes, I've enjoyed that over the years. Got to work with some great drivers, especially young drivers like Jimmy Johnson and Tony Stewart when they were young, and even got to work with Matt a little bit when he was a Busch driver, and among a lot of other ones. So it's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it, and this is kind of the next chapter, and hopefully we can make this successful and develop some really quality drivers, build a nice team, and and carry on.
Like they say, the future's so bright you got to wear shades. That's a good deal.
Well, let's hope so.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll be watching for you. We'll see how it goes, and I'll definitely be keeping up with you as the season goes on. While we've got a few minutes here, take some time and give a shout-out to anybody you want to recognize. Well,
really at this point, just all the people that are making the wheels turn at this Rainier Racing with MDM team is really who I would want to shout out to now. We have a Facebook page, Rainier Racing with MDM. I encourage everybody to go see that if they want to keep up with what we're doing. And that's really about it. Just we want to get this thing launched, and we had a really good debut race, and we were proud of that, and hopefully we can carry on and continue this with this momentum.
You sound like you've got a lot of confidence in your race team and what you can do with it. What does the future hold? How big a car owner do you want to be?
Well, that's actually a pretty good question. I don't know at this point. I think really what I'm focused on right now is the task at hand, and that's kind of getting this thing up and going, and doing what we need to do right now. I'm really not thinking long term. I'm just really kind of taking these short term goals and trying to execute these things and make them happen and develop these young kids. I'm really happy with our drivers. I like who we have, and I really like our people. So I just feel like we've kind of married up the right drivers with the right people, and hopefully we get the results that we think we can get. And and from that point, success breeds success. If you do well, then certain things will start coming to you, and you may have the opportunity to move up. But I don't know that right now, or even for in the near future, I would want to get anything above the Truck Series. I think I would probably stay right there. I think that's kind of our sweet spot, really. K&N, ARCA, and truck racing, and that would probably be about it for the future. At least for the short term future, next few years.
I heard that. Well, hopefully it all works out for you. It sounds like you've got a plan, and you know what you want to accomplish, and you're working toward that goal, so that's great. That's what racing's all about. I'm really glad I got a chance to meet you and talk with you. Lauren, you're a real interesting guy, and you've got a lot of history in the sport and a lot of history. The same time I was there, you were there, so that makes it real interesting to me. So I really appreciate you coming on tonight and talking with us, and as the season goes on, we'll get you back on here after you visit Victory Lane a couple of times, we'll be definitely want you on if you win, so we can talk about that. Let everybody know, how to follow you on social media, how to keep up with what you're doing and what your next race is and everything.
My Twitter handle is at Lauren Rainier, so you can follow me there, and the best place to follow the team is really on the Facebook page. So if everybody will go like the Rainier Racing with MDM Facebook page, that's the most updated place to find information about this team, and so I would encourage people to do that. So our next event will be Mobile International Speedway, March 12th, and it's a K&N event. And we'll have Spencer Davis in the 41 and Kyle Benjamin in the 40.
Good deal. Well, I wish you all the luck there. And like I said, it's really been good talking to you. I've really enjoyed listening to your take on things and your stories and everything. I want to wish you the best of luck this year. You said you're scheduled to run 6 truck races, 6 ARCA races, and 2 drivers running in the K&N series. That's a pretty full plate. That ought to keep you pretty busy through the rest of this season.
Yeah, well, if you add all the events up with each driver, it's around 40 races. Some will be they'll be in the same races, but yeah, it's really good. So we're excited about what we got going on, and I think we can be, I think we can be real successful at the K&N level and the ARCA level, and then I think we can get our trucks in the top 10 in the in those truck races. So we'll see how it shakes out. Hope for the best.
Any race on the truck schedule you got circled that you're looking forward to more than any of the others?
Well, I think more than anything, you just want to get off to a decent start. So our first race with Brandon Jones will be Dover, and then we go the next week to Charlotte. So those first 2 are going to be pretty important events. You kind of want to see how your team rolls out, how prepared you are, and then kind of how you stack up with everybody. And so we feel like we've got a good plan there as well. We're going to have be affiliated with GMS on the truck side, and we're going to have ECR engines. So that package just won Daytona with Johnny Sauter. GMS did. So we feel like we're right on track with where we need to be with equipment. So I think we'll be pretty good. And Brandon just finished 7th in the Xfinity race at Daytona, and I just have a feeling we're going to do pretty well. We're going to be pretty competitive.
A lot of confidence in your voice, Lauren. That's good to hear. Good to know that you feel that confident and you're ready to go. And like I said, thanks once again for coming on, and I'll be keeping up with you, and I'll be in touch with you through the year, and we'll get you back on later on in the year.
All right, that sounds good to me.
If you would, take a minute to message me your mailing address, and let me send you some of our show sponsors' product, Snafu Seasoning. This is a great spice rub. Works good on chicken, steaks, pork, anything you want to grill or even broil in the oven. This Snafu Seasoning really brings out the flavor in it. And the thing I like about it is if you read the ingredients level, it's only like 6 or 7 ingredients in there, and it's stuff you've heard of and you can pronounce. It's nothing that ends in "ite" or anything like that. There's no chemicals, no preservatives or nothing. So send me your mailing address, and I'll send you some of it, and tell your friends, spread the word.
You got it. I'm doing it as we speak. Sounds good. I'll put it to good use.
Yep, I've got it here right now. Lauren, we're going to let you go, and we're going to call it a night. Thanks again, bud. I really enjoyed talking with you.
You bet. Glad to be on the show. Call me anytime.
I will. Thanks again.
Good night.
Good night. Well, damn. CJ, that was a pretty good show, eh?
Oh yeah. I like that. I love all the guests were great. Don't get me wrong, but Lauren's been on the show, I believe this show before, and I know we've had him over on the 110 Nation Sports Show a couple of times. And him bringing you a different point of view of the sport is great. Him be able to talk about some of the history, the Cale Yarboroughs and the Buddy Bakers and the Bobby Allisons, the Davey Allisons, that to me is something we don't get anywhere else. And it's great to be able to sit, not just sit there and listen to Darrell Walter's point of view or Jeff Gordon's point of view or anybody else to put on the show, but somebody that has been there and been around those people, and not just because they just those we get to hear Lauren's point of view from experience and being around him, not just being another driver. And it's just really cool. It gives you an opportunity to kind of sit back. And, as he's talking about this, I'm visualizing these different drivers. Because even though I was young, I still got to see these drivers out there on the track as they were, towards the end of their career. And it was great. And to be able to put these stories to these faces that I grew up watching, really, I can't tell you how much I love hearing Lauren talk and him being on the shows that he's been on. And then you listen to him talk about that last lap at Daytona. Like I said, I don't know how people can say anything negative about that race. That was probably one of the most exciting races that we'll get to see all year. And that last lap alone, and I can only imagine what it's like trying to help your driver guide them into the right lane at the right time. And then, of course, in Lauren's case, trying to help put Matt Kenseth in an opportunity to prevent the pass. You listen to him talk at the same time. You just kind of got all these thoughts going through your head and taking a trip down memory lane all at the same time. And then also all that wrapped up into the fact that he's got his K&N Pro Series and, of course, the ARCA and the Truck Series programs going on, and you see how much of an influence he's going to have on the future as well. And, I don't want to take anything away from your first two guests, but, having Lauren on as many times as we have, he's already one of my favorite guests already. But then to see how he can, in that interview, wrap the history, the present, the future, all together in one big bow and kind of paint this big picture, I loved every last minute of it.
I do too. It's good. It's like you said, it's good to hear an opinion from a different point of view. Mm-hmm. You hear during the broadcast the opinions of DW and Jeff Gordon, and that's pretty much from a driver's point of view is where you're getting it from. But to hear a spotter talk about how his job is during the race and everything, and you start to realize how all these people, it's like a puzzle. You put all the pieces together till you get the right picture, and each individual, plays a role in it, and the spotter plays a big role. And from what I've heard from other people and from what I've seen, Lauren was definitely one of the best. Mm-hmm. But it's like you said, you get a good guest on like that, and I'm listening to him tell a story, and something will catch in my mind, and I'll be like, well, I need to ask him about this. But by the time he finishes the story, I've got so involved in the story, I forgot what it was I wanted to ask him. So
yep.
That was one thing he came up I had wanted to talk to him about. I had him on the show last year, and he was helping Bobby's grandson, Davy's son, Robbie Allison, run it was a late model race at Southern National Speedway, and he's gotten involved in that. There's involvement there with 3 generations of the Allisons, and just to be able to say, that you work with these guys and to have that history, I'm jealous, to tell you the truth. The guy, I really am. But, that's just the way it goes, and it points to the other 2 guests we had tonight, Tyler Dipple this guy is 16 years old and is an accomplished modified racer. And from what I've seen on YouTube of him and what I've read and everything, he's going to be a good one. So that's another one to keep your eye on. And Ox just cracked me up. Never thought I'd see a guy from New Zealand that was a fan of the Dukes of Hazzards, but hey, whatever floats your boat. All right, well, let me give a shout-out to my people, my social media people. The best way to talk to me, find me, unless I owe you money, find me or want to learn something, join my Facebook group, NASCAR and Other Racing. We talk a lot about NASCAR. We have a lot of people that follow NASCAR that are in that group, but we also have a lot of people that are dirt late model or sprint car drivers and fans, modified drivers and fans. We try to cover all the bases. We even dip into drag racing and Formula One and Indy and everything. If it's racing, NASCAR and Other Racing is going to be talking about it. So come join the group. We're a very family-oriented group. We don't allow any cursing, any vulgarity, no mean-spirited comments about other drivers and everything. It's a very family-oriented group. So if you've got a son or a daughter that's just starting out in racing and you want to get them involved with other people that they can talk with about it, join the group. It'll really be worth the effort. And I don't have my complete guest lineup for next Thursday's show. I'm still working on that, and I'm trying. Now I've got to get on there and find guests that'll top what we had tonight, because I'm really impressed with the three guys we got to talk to tonight, and I'm glad I had them on. All right, well, CJ, let's get out of here and tell everybody about your shows, what you have going on during the week.
Make sure you guys tune in Monday, Tuesday, Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, and Friday. We got the 110 Nation Sports Show kicks off at 9 o'clock. We got on Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. We got the Happy Hour Garage. At 9 o'clock on Sunday evenings, we have the Dirt Talk Hour. And then, of course, Monday night, Steve and myself are back here on the network for Revenants Racing at 7 o'clock. And next week, we'll be back on the air in the morning, the 110 Nation Morning Show, just everything moving, the studio moving, we're just not doing the show this week in the morning. But also check us out, check out our blog site over at www.the110nationsports.com as well for all the articles we have coming out and press releases and stuff just going on in the sporting world.
Good deal. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. Well, I certainly did. And check in again with us next week, 9 o'clock on Thursday nights for Racing with Big Sweat, which is produced by 110 Nation Sports Radio and is presented by Snafu Seasoning. My good friend Jimmy Haywood produces this stuff, and I put it on bacon. I put it on fried bologna. It's good on everything. Miss Lee, even I sent her some, and she told me she puts it on popcorn. So it's multi-use. So check it out, and if you want to try some for free, all you got to do is call into the show. I'll be more than happy to send you some. All right, bud, that's going to do it for me. I've about had enough. CJ, I'll be in touch, bud, and
yes, sir.
All our listeners, we'll talk to you next Thursday night on Racing with Big Sweat. Thanks for tuning in. Good night.
Tell you what, it's always a great time to have an opportunity to sit in and not only be able to co-host with a guy with so much knowledge. You know, Steve got the opportunity to crew chief Tim Richmond and Jeff Bodine and Jimmy Johnson and work with these teams and be tire changer for some of the greatest drivers of all time. And just his extensive knowledge between all his days in NASCAR and then, of course, him owning a race team. I can't ask to have a better opportunity to sit there. And when we went to having a Thursday show, and so that we could be on 5 days a week, it was one of the things that I stayed awake at night trying to figure out how am I going to make this possible? How am I going to have a Thursday night show and not have the opportunity to be on with a guy with so much knowledge and someone that's just so fun to be able to sit there and talk racing with. And I came up with this whole concept, and I'm glad I did, because now I got the opportunity to still have part of our show, the pride and joy, the single thing that put the 110 Nation on the map. And I still get the opportunity to be sitting and be able to be on the show with a legend. And I tell you what, this is why I love doing what we do here. And God, and it's only getting better. and next week when the studio's moved and I get a whole bunch more free time and get the opportunity to add a couple more shows to the network. I'm still working on what they're gonna be featured around and what days of the week. But I'm going to extend to 2 extra shows throughout the week, and it just really great to be able to sit here and do this, and it's crazy. But if you're interested in coming on the show, all you gotta do is hit up Miss Lee. That's LEE_110nation@yahoo.com. If you're an athlete, a part of some kind of athletic organization or team, maybe you got a show or site and you want to come on and talk about it, promote it, and talk sports. Or maybe you got some kind of charity or foundation and you want an opportunity to get it out there and get the public aware of what you have going on. Like I said, all you gotta do is hit up Miss Lee. That's Lee_110nation@yahoo.com. That's LEE_110nation@yahoo.com. Also, if you're interested in joining the 110 Nation, definitely looking for writers over their blog sites. We're really gaining a lot of momentum over there with what we have going on over there. And we would love the opportunity to get about 2 or 3 writers about an article a week, just to keep it all fresh and keep different opinions on the page. And if you're interested in doing that, or maybe you got a show that you already do and you want to have it syndicated on our network to reach all our listeners, or maybe you got or maybe you want to come on and be co-host, definitely look for a co-host on the night show, or maybe you just want to have a feature spot where you talk about one specific sport and you come on once, maybe twice a week for 30 minutes. Or even better yet, maybe you're a behind the scene person and would like to help run our Facebook or Twitter page or Instagram, or whatever the case may be. All you gotta do is hit me up, MrCJSports@gmail.com. I'd love to have the opportunity to sit down and get to know you and hopefully bring you on the 110 Nation staff. But with us continuously growing, we getting to the point that we could use some help, and so we're gonna continue doing this, and hopefully you can be there to help grow this into what we all plan or all dream for it to be anyway. Don't forget, tomorrow night 9:00, be right back here at the 110 Nation Sports Show. Looking forward to having an opportunity to talk everything that's been big in the news for the day. So looking forward to that. Got a bunch of articles we just published over at the110nationsports.com. That's www.the110nationsports.com. You guys go over there and check that out. Follow us on Twitter. Me at CJ Sports 1. the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. Or you can check me out on Facebook, my personal fan page, Mr. CJ Sports, or the 110 Nation fan page, 110 Nation Sports. Tomorrow night, 9 o'clock. Make sure you guys are here.
Thanks for listening to the 110 Nation Sports Show with Mr. CJ Sports. You are a part of the 110 Nation, so be sure to visit the110nation.com for everything related to the show. You can follow CJ on Twitter at 110 Nation and on Facebook at 110 Nation Sports. Until next time.